Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Portfolio Review. This is your channel, once again, Design Jobcaster by Overlay Academy. We have one of the big names in the design industry here in Nigeria, the person of Dumebi Iwuchukwu. Let's give a round of applause. Waris, let me be hearing your clapping from here. So over to you, maybe. So the session, how the portfolio session goes is that you are going to from the position of a recruiter, you're going to review each portfolios that you've been tagged to and make corrections like what's not right, what needs to be improved on, and all that from the recruiter angle, from the design lead angle. So over to you. You can start sharing your screen so we can also take notes.
All right. So actually, I haven't shared my screen with Telegram before, so it might require me to restart. I don't know yet. Yes, it's requiring me to restart. So I think I'm going to leave and then join back.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so while we wait, Waris, have you shared your portfolio?
Nah. I don't have a portfolio yet.
You don't have a portfolio yet.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can use it. So.
We can hear. Yep. So we can see your screen now. Okay, over to you. We currently cannot hear you. Mic is mute. It's muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
we can.
All right, great. So just to make it easier and I'm not switching things around, I'm sort of showing the two. So first I'll look at the CVs and the portfolio here. And then I would look at the and then I'll look at the Behance profiles. um, yeah. Well, then I think before I start, I think something that I'll just mention that is like first consideration is like most design recruiters prefer portfolios as PDFs, right? Or if it's not a PDF, it should be a well-designed website or even a Notion, like rather than a Behance. I know I tweeted about it in the past and it was a bit controversial, but the reason being that Behance is a cool platform, like Behance, Dribbble. They are good platforms for showcasing your work and getting feedback from the design community. But as a portfolio, unless you really know how to use Behance to tell a story for each project, as a portfolio, it's not really a very strong way to showcase your work, especially since Behance is like a niche platform for designers. And it's not every company that the hiring managers are designers. Some companies, it's maybe the marketing team that hires the designers, or it's the HRs that are entirely in charge of the whole recruitment process. So what that means is that you have non-designers interacting with your Behance. So that means that they might have issues because they're not very familiar with the platform, as opposed to having your portfolio as a PDF or even as a PowerPoint presentation, really, or a website. But I'm just going to quickly go through the CVs first. So let's focus on this side. I'm going to really minimize this, so it's not taking a lot of attention. So broadly, I think a general rule for CVs is yes, you're a designer, and it's good to design your CV, but not that it is a bad thing, but your CV should not, like, you should not do too much design on your CV. The CV is a document first, and like it's not meant to be a presentation. So it's usually important for your CV to be minimal, like let it be laid back, and let the emphasis be on this area. Like your work experience was like zoomed out, right? If I'm looking at this CV, like you see that your intro is taking, like in terms of visual hierarchy, it's taking like maybe 60% of the attention, because at this level of zoom, this is the only thing I can read clearly. Or the first set of things I can read clearly. It's a nice touch to put your picture, but it's also important to give enough space to your work experience, because this is the purpose of your CV, right? So you're a product designer, which means you are a user. Like I don't know if the owner of the CV is in this call, but I guess I went to see the video. So you are a user experience designer. So you think about the user experience of your hiring manager. Think about the fact or that whoever that is going to be going through your portfolio and your CV is going to probably go through maybe 20, 50, 100 other portfolios and CVs. So it's cool to use colors like this to grab their attention, but you need to make it easy for them to scan through your portfolio and get the gist of your experience. So I don't think this was a good visual hierarchy, because in terms of visual hierarchy, this is one, this is two, and then this is three. So the impression you give off the bat is that your work experience is the least important thing on your portfolio or your CV, which is wrong. So it's good to have like your bio, like talk a bit about yourself, but like you should give more importance to this. So give more attention to this area. So there's nothing wrong with having both on the same line, but maybe your work experience coming first, education coming second. Like I think the good rule of thumb for CV is look at the structure of LinkedIn, like your LinkedIn page profile, right? So after bio, you see the work experience, and under that education, then under that you see things like, places you've been volunteering, or awards, publications, things like that. And even you can put your skills, one or two skills, um, in there. So in terms of CV is never critiqued as a design artifact. It is critiqued as a document. And then depending on the role you apply to, some platforms scan your CVs automatically. So that means that you should also design your CVs in a way that, so this is, okay, my Adobe stuff is doing something. I don't know what it just did, but let me, let me do Control Z.
I
Maybe
think
it
if
will
you
set.
click on the blue highlighted text, maybe to go.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was trying to say that your CV should be designed in a way. So you see, there's something wrong with this. It should actually be designed in a way that it should be like you should be able to select the text, right? So it means that this was probably designed on a, I don't know, like this is an image that is converted to a PDF. All right, it was probably designed in Illustrator or Photoshop, exported as and exported as a PDF. It should actually be designed in a way that it's possible for this text to be selected. So that means, like, I think Figma is an easy. You can use Figma as a tool and design your CV, right, and then export it as PDF. When we bring it into Illustrator, it's still easy to select the text. So normally I should be able to select this thing. But why this is happening is because this is an image rather than, it's like it's not recognizing this as individual elements or layers. This is an entirely single layer. It's like everything is merged. So for a CV, it's not, especially if you're applying for international roles, it's important that, and I'm talking about the technical parts of like the CV now. It's important that um is the tech should be safe, right? So looking at your like the CV itself, something else that is wrong is so the duration of like in terms of think about this element, like this part as a card or as a subset of what's presenting the information of every place you work. So I see it's important to highlight, saying it's just misbehaving. Don't mind me. So it's important to highlight, the place you've worked, your role there, but the duration of time you are working is also important. And like I say, LinkedIn is your friend, right? So if I were to open LinkedIn here, um, you all can see my screen, right?
We can.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can see the loading LinkedIn.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm going to allow it to load. For some reason, my network is a bit slow. So so this is important, and even if you're working somewhere presently, it's important to show from when to when. So if I've been working here from 2023, which is this year to present, or January 2023 to now, don't just put present. Like so, present is from when, right? And if you were a HNG intern, so I do know that HNG is an internship program. So it's either you include this as under your education that you did a HNG training, or that you include it. If you're including it as experience, you have to show the duration of like from this time to this time. So like putting stage 5 here does not anything to someone that is not a designer and does not know what HNG internship is. So it's important that your portfolio provides as much context as possible because you're not going to be there when the hiring manager is looking at your portfolio and then your CV to explain these things, right? And the same thing I said about duration. So this is the only place that I have a sense of from when to when you work. So everything says present. So if I look at this CV, I want to know, like when I'm looking at the CV, I want to know how many years experience does this person have in design? And to be honest, looking at this CV, I don't know. Like the only indicator that is this January 2022 to December 2023. So I might say that okay, based on this, that you only started designing in January of last year, 2022. But then it's possible that some of these things you are doing from then till now were things you were doing even before this role, right? So it's important that your CV explicitly says because it should allow you to, So coming back to LinkedIn, so if I were to look at my LinkedIn profile, I use the structure of LinkedIn to show what I mean. You see how LinkedIn does it, right? So LinkedIn starts with the title of where you are working. LinkedIn goes extra a bit to shows like maybe what's the nature of your role? Is it full time? How many months have you been there? And is it hybrid? But for this ones, like you see, for example, January. So okay, this is for a role that has changed. So look at this. So is this head of design, May this to this. This is January this to this. Right. So it's important that for each one, show the start date. If it's something you're still doing presently, include present, right? You can include location or not. So let me go to some of my older roles um on my this thing. Maybe I would at the end of sometime I would pull up my portfolio to show my CV to show you the structure of my CV. It's a bit outdated, but how I did it. Um, so it's a cool thing to include softwares that you work with, skills you have, your education, because this is relevant. You can also include courses. So this is a good place to include courses you've done, like design courses you've done. But please, this CV is a horrible CV if it doesn't show like the duration you've been working at this roles because two things you want your CV to demonstrate is your experience, and that experience also includes the duration, like how long you've been designing, right? So you can also sort of include that in your bio here. So I'm going to stop there for now. So summary of my feedback on this. One is to design in the sense that your CV should be minimal, right? So it's good to, but where you should actually go all out and show your design skills is your portfolio, not your CV. And that's also one reason I prefer PDF portfolios to Behance, because Behance might not always give you, like Behance is a platform, so you don't design the entire experience of the platform. So the second thing I emphasize also is that the visual hierarchy is wrong. Like the visual hierarchy, you're optimizing for your profile and education, and this work experience is the most important part of the CV. And in terms of visual hierarchy, it has the smallest font sizes, the smallest space, like the least allocation of space. And as a product designer, UX designer, it's a red flag because if you're a product designer, you should be a master of visual hierarchy. So if your CV has bad visual hierarchy, then that's really problematic. Then that is problematic. So I'm going to go to the next. Another thing I mentioned that is a problem here is that this CV, I don't know how the person that created it designed it. So you either design in Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever, but you should be able to select the text in this document rather than it being an image, right? You should be able to select the text because some platforms like Bumble HR, some platforms, especially when you apply to foreign companies, they use automatic system that sort CV. So when the text is not able to be scanned and read by the computer, is a problem. This is technically an image that is a PDF. So you can't really sort these automatically. So that is another problem. So I hope this is helpful. The other resume I'm going to go to exactly see what I was talking about, right? So if you look at this particular portfolio, sorry, I want to, for some reason it's not showing me yeah. Right. So you see this portfolio is I can select this text, right? That is what I'm saying. So you see that I can select this text, even though probably because of the maybe the formatting or whatever, it's sort of not highlighting the text above, it's highlighting it in between, but all the same. And it's sort of interactive. Like I can actually click on this link and it takes me to the Behance. I can click on this to send mail. I can click on this, it goes to LinkedIn. This is what I'm talking about. In terms of, making the portfolio so that if it's going to be scanned by a machine. So if I copy this now, let's say I select this, but after effects. Okay, so if I select this, for example, Command C, let me just paste it in this bar. So you see, it actually copied text, right? It actually did copy text that is relevant to so these are things that, like, if it's in a, I've forgotten the official technical term for it, but there are systems that automatically also sort through the, can you hear me? I'm hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you. I was helping. I said the ATS.
Exactly. What's the full meaning of that?
Just a minute. Let me confirm.
Okay, so what you're confirming, give me a moment.
Applicants tracking system.
Okay, good.
Applicants tracking system.
Right, so yeah, thanks a lot. So those tracking systems, they typically those tracking systems typically scan those CVs automatically. So if you're applying to a company that uses that kind of system, your CV is going to be dumped because it's not going to, show up on that system. So I want to check my CV. So this is my it's not updated, but let me see how up to date it is. Okay, let me just open it. So this is my current CV, right? This is my current CV, and you see that, like, comparing this CV to this CV, you see what I was talking about. Like, this is too designed. It has too many design elements that are not necessary. Like, why is this two different font weights? Like, if you count the number of font sizes in this CV, there's one, there's two, there's three. This font size is different from this, but this and this are the same. This font size is different from this. This font size is different from this. So if you, I don't know how many font sizes are here, but they're over five, right? And like a rule of thumb in designing interfaces or most designs is like keep to two or three font sizes max, right? And that's something I like about this one. So you can see there's the name and this here, very short profile to the point. This is a CV because at a glance I can see the person's experience, I can see education, I can see projects. Like projects are not really necessary in your portfolio, but it's not bad to include this if you have space, right? And then skills, hobbies, references available on request. So what I would usually say about references is if you don't have the reference in your CV, don't include it. Like there's like references available on request is like you're just talking, like you're not seeing anything because if as a hiring manager, if I'm interviewing you, if I need references, I will ask you for it, right? And then if they're in your portfolio, I might work with it. But if you know you're not going to include your references in your portfolio, you don't need to say references available on request because it doesn't help me. Because if I don't see it in your portfolio, I'm going to ask you either way. But this is really, I love this portfolio. Like it's cool to have it black on white. But I've seen it to be helpful to just go with just go with a white background. Reason being that not everybody that is going to review your portfolio is a designer, right? And like most HR, talent operations, human resources, people ops, like they like convention. So it's good to do something to make it stand out, but don't stand out too much, right? So, but I love that this is well designed. I love the font hierarchy. I love the and like if I'm looking at this, I'm likely going to click on it to see the portfolio because like linked to the portfolio. So it's a cool thing for it to link to your portfolio. Oh, this is the next portfolio. So I guess we're going to look at this project. But I don't really think this is so necessary since you're going to also send your portfolio in the application. So it's not necessary to link your portfolio in your CV. You can, but if you're going to apply with both your CV and portfolio, like I just as well, send them separately. So like, see what I was talking about my CV, right? And that's something I like about this. So you chose to add color, but you stuck to one color. So it's orange, right? So there's orange. So it's just white, black. This is like gray. So white, very dark gray, and orange. Three colors, font hierarchy, one, two, three. And then this headers and this, right? So like it's a very good font hierarchy. So once I look at this, I know that this designer understands how to use typography to lay out information, right? Good. Sorry guys, I have a call. I need to take a call for a minute. Give me a moment.
Okay. Emmanuel, I see you. I am me done too. I see you. Thompson, I see you. Mr. E, I see you. AK Tony Designs, I see you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Portfolio Review. Please share your portfolio in the CV portfolio section if you want it. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry. I'm going to be yeah. So I'm going to be off a bit after a while because My neighbor needs to build something up with me, but that's all right. Um, so what I was talking about, right? So simple layout. So if you look at my portfolio, my CV rather, like this is my CV for my that I use for my current role. So I'm yet to have an updated CV. We can also see what I'm seeing about like there are just three colors here: the white background, this, and then this gradient I chose to use. And you see that this gradient you use consistently. And I just use the gradient in here to highlight the period that I've been working. So if you look at this as like the atom or like this low, like the smallest spots to look at in the portfolio, in the CV rather, you see that it has, the duration of time, the title, the company, and a bit of what I did there, right? And that is also something I like here. There's the duration of time. You also included this in terms of weeks. Okay, this is the project. In terms of experience, the duration of time, there's the location here, the role, the company, a bit of what you did. This is just what is needed. But coming to this portfolio, like this is what I criticize. Like the duration of time is vague, right? So if you're telling me present, like from when to present, right? That is important to give me a sense of how long you're there. And then your visual hierarchy of creative, like the way you arrange these three things is not really nice. Like creative director, designer. So it's either you put creative designer and you place your work in one row, in one spot, or this. Give me a moment, I'll be back.
Okay. Hello, Lamide. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello. Good evening. Do we take turns to present our portfolio?
Okay, I think I'm just going to start. Oh, can you don't worry, tag it now.
What did you say?
I'll just tag yours in the list of portfolios to review.
Okay. I'm Cornelius Olamide on the platform. Cornelius Ajiwale.
Hi guys, I'm back. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes,
Okay.
we can.
So I was talking about the hierarchy here, right? So if you look at this portfolio, you can see that is on the same line with the title is on the same line with the company, right? Let me sort of zoom in so you can see it. So the title is on the same line as the company. The experience is below, location is beside it, and information is here. On mine, which I'm using as a reference, the same thing. Title is on the same line as company. Here, the experience is above, like the duration of time is above, and then the information below. And then broadly, I sort of included skills, and then the duration of time I've like been working on those skills under here, and then my education, up here. And you can see that what I was talking about earlier, it's possible to select. It's actually possible to select the text, right? So if this was going to be fed into an ATS, the ATS is going to be able to work with it because this text can be selected. And then even my LinkedIn, you can click and open it from here. This is open LinkedIn, or you can click here to go to my website. So those are the points I was talking about. So this portfolio is really solid. The only feedback I'll give is just swap the background color. Just use use a white background and white text, just so that it's not too much of from every other portfolio, and make it easy to scan through along with the rest of the portfolios. And then, like I said, it might not be essential to include your projects here, because it's not essential to include it here because you're also sending your portfolio, right? So, like, even as a designer, you don't need to include projects in your portfolio. Yeah, like the comment I made about your referees, like it's either you include referees or you don't. You don't, like, if you include referees, like if you want to have this section, include them. If you're not going to have this section, then don't include them. Rather than just say available requests. Yeah. So I'm going to move to this portfolio. I don't know. Are we going to take questions? Or I'm just walking through the portfolios.
I think if anybody has a question, you can probably drop the question in the chat box, or they can signify by flashing their mics. Right?
All right. So I think maybe to make it easy for me to follow, if anyone has questions, they could just if anyone has questions, they could just ask me. Just drop on the chat and I'll respond after. And then I'm seeing some other CVs and portfolio being blocked. So I'm going to try to open them and take a look. I'm sort of downloading them now just so that I can. Okay, this is another one. So I can see that. You see what I was saying? So this CV was designed in a way that I can select this, which is good. So this is good. It can really work in an ETS rather than being designed. And then it's on a white background, which is good. And then I see that the hierarchy is easy to see. Okay, graphic designer, this was your role in this company. This is the company. This is the duration, the time you've been there, from this time to this time. Although something I like to do is rather than use 09/2022, I like to either write out the month rather than make it put it that way. So like January 2022 to this rather than 09, because like this you're creating work. The person has to start doing mental math. Which month is 09? Which month is 03? So like anything you can do to make the like the work easier for the hiring manager, please do. So here you see June this month to December this month rather than 09/03. Just make it easy to to follow. So let me zoom out so I can see that again. So I like the organization. So in terms of visual hierarchy, that same thing I was critiquing on this CV. The same thing I was criticizing on this CV. So you can see that so much space was given here that the work experience is suffering. But here there is like good layout, like really nice layout. And like I feel that designing a CV or learning how to design with black and white on a blank background is one of the best ways to test yourself as a good designer. Because if you can design something on a blank background using the same font and maybe just using different weights of the fonts and different sizes of the fonts, and you create a good layout like this is very impressive, right? And it's possible this is a template that the person edited, but this is still a solid layout, right? I'll be more impressed by this portfolio just looking at it than by this portfolio, even though this portfolio used like 4 colors and like multiple font sizes, right? So it's very, very important to, your CV should be minimalist. And if you must use color, just keep it to 3 colors, right? So like here, 3 colors, black or dark gray, white, and orange, like just one highlight color. In the example I showed my own CV, I used I used a gradient, but that was the only other color aside from black and white. So this is really nice. Even though technically this is like more than one color, because this is gray, but potato, potato. Um, so I like the layout here. The way it's like really organized. The details are here. You did not include your profile, but I'm not really dogmatic about profile. So it might be there, it might not be there. I'm not particular about it. But it might be nice to include it just to like give the person an idea of your personality, your approach to work, just something about you. So good thing is you can use this to give a very short summary like, oh, Anthony, I'm a graphic designer with interest in, or I'm an art director with experience in motion design. It's also an opportunity to talk about maybe one or two small projects you've done, or I'm ex-designer. I have 5 years experience designing, and I love to design this kind of thing. So it's an opportunity to just talk a bit about yourself. So like that's something you could have used this space for, but like it doesn't make this a horrible portfolio. I like the layout of this. Like it's straightforward. So looking at this, I can really see the places you worked. But like I said, just make it easy. Like make it easy for the hiring manager. Use the months. Like maybe this is 06. I guess this is June till December. 05. So now I have to start doing maths. It's 5 May or April or June. So just make it easy for the hiring manager to see this at a glance. Like and then the visual hierarchy you used here is not so great. So you see what you did here, where you did graphic design and then you use a different, like use gray to show the location, the place where you worked, and use gray here to show where you worked. You would have done the same here. So I'm seeing art direction, TBE, but Oxygen Academy is still black. So these two things have the same hierarchy, like they have the same size, they have the same color. And I'm like, if I don't know, like computer science, Covenant University, it seems to be saying the same thing, but are different things. So you use the same, like you would have applied the same hierarchy you did here. So this is nice. Same font size, but use a different color to differentiate it from here. You'd have just done the same thing here. So that's something you should have, done. Another thing, these skills, Photoshop Advanced, like this layout is slightly confusing. Because I'm a designer, I get what you're doing here, right? But it's just better to just see your skills, like this advanced, beginner, intermediate, expert. It's not really as helpful. And then the layout, the way this layout looks, it's like it's somewhat weird. It sort of looks like it's hanging, So some people use stars.
So we can also see.
Oh, okay. So let me zoom it in. Can you see better?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about, right? So some people use stars, like maybe they put 2, 3, 5 stars, 2 stars, 1 star to show. But like, I think it's just better to just put the list of skills. Like you don't really need to show. So if I'm going to, let me show my CV again. How did I show my skills? So what I did here was I sort of grouped the skills under different kind of responsibilities, right? So under UX and design, these are the skills I have, and then I use the years. So like these are like the years I've been building the skills under this bucket. For art direction, these are the number of years that I've been building the skills under this bucket. And then design leadership, these are the number of skills, the years I've been using to build the skills under this bucket, right? So this is like the way I did it. But on some other CVs, let me see how Aziz did his. So for him, he just listed the skills. So this is good too. Just list them without categorizing advanced, because the moment you start putting advanced, right, it means that you have to put beginner on the one. So like your CV, you want to impress. So in as much as you shouldn't lie, but if you're going to tell me a beginner in Premiere Pro, if I need a Premiere, someone that will be doing video editing, I'm not going to hire you, right? Because you're a beginner. I want someone that is good at it. if this is the primary reason, but you're a designer, so this is a secondary skill to being a designer. I don't like having skill in video editing is a nice to have. So it's not really necessary to classify the skills. But if you must do this, like using those 5 stars, 2 stars, or so people would actually use like all those skill bars. Like that's somewhat better than like advanced and immediate beginner because it makes me to start judging your skills from the CV without even meeting you or like because I would likely look at your CV first before your portfolio. I start judging your skills before seeing your work. So like it's better not to just add these guys. So feedback I mentioned, the visual hierarchy here, maybe this should be gray or a smaller font. And even like Bachelor of Science, like 1, 2, 3, the same board. Like the hierarchy here is better. Even though this is the same font size as this, is still like the font weight here is like maybe this is bold, this is maybe medium or regular. This is the same as this is medium or regular as well, but it's gray. So like the font hierarchy is different, right? So I think you should employ the same thing here, sort of certificates and your education. But generally, I think this is a nice CV. I love this black and white, straight to the point, solid layout. I think there is another CV. I don't know if I downloaded it. Let me check. Okay. There's this one that is okay. Let me open this here. Don't mind me, I have a widescreen monitor, so it might look weird when I'm sharing my screen. So this is another CV. I think like up the bat, you already know some comments I gave. So I like that the text, you can select this text, so which means that an ATS can process it and sort it automatically. And like it's cool that these links can be clicked on. So I don't really like for people to put you don't need to show your social media to add your social media accounts to even your portfolio or I think LinkedIn is enough, right? But like your Instagram, I do know that a lot of designers curate their Instagram to showcase their designs, but since you're already going to share your portfolio, I don't think this is necessary. And please don't include your Twitter on your CV. Because like you might go and tweet rubbish one day that you're hungry, and it could be that your hiring manager is offended, and you lose the opportunity because of one silly tweet. So just keep your social media away. Of course, people hiring you might do some research on you. They might Google your name and check your social media profiles, but please you don't necessarily have to include it in your CV, except you're being interviewed by Instagram. So I like that, up the bat, your role is here. Good hierarchy in terms of visual hierarchy, in terms of like the way the fonts, like work experience, graphic designer. So your role is here. I like the January, so the month here, so good. As opposed to, this one that was like 09/2022. So like at a glance, I can already see which month you worked from this month to this month here. I think this is nice. One thing I would say is that the way you organize this is wrong because you have work experience spilling into the second page, and then you have space for skills and tools. So if your portfolio is going to extend beyond your CV, if your CV is going to extend beyond one page, like the wise thing to do would just be to use the one page for one section, right? So have all of your work experience here, and then have maybe education second, and then all these other things, skills and tools following up, right? So having work experience spilling into the next page while you have space for other things. And there is even like a little bit of space here is not necessary. So like use all of, because the first important thing to be on your CV is your work experience. So devote the first page to covering most of work experience, and then include other things on the second page. But other than that, really nice. I like you use blue. Like it's cool how you use colors, but I don't understand why some are blue and some are white. I would interpret it to mean that these are the places like the skills that you're stronger at, and then you're weaker at this. But similar to the comments I gave, just give a list of the skills or group them in buckets, right? So since you're
Uh,
an
I also no the ones that are white are like soft skills. I don't know. That was how I made it out.
right. So the same thing I'm saying applies, right? So just you can either group them, right? So soft skills, this is the list, hard skills, this is the list. Because you're not going to be in the room when the manager, hiring manager, or the HR is reviewing your CV. So if you don't mention it now, they will not read your mind to know. So label it, right? So referencing my CV again, what I did here, I didn't really use soft skills, hard skills. So I just grouped them by buckets in terms of like these are the kind of tasks that I would need these skills to execute. So under this, and then I use years to show how long I've been building those skills. So you can choose to put soft skills, a list, or like because this list is long, I just use commas. Or you can use hard skills, soft skills, something like that. Let me see how this is, right? So like in this one, he separated skills and hobbies. But let's say you have skills that are long, so you can do something like soft skills like this, another list, hard skills like this, right? Rather than just present or just a list like this without this advanced intermediate, yada yada. So I guess that is clear. Um, Other than that, I'm actually cool with this CV. So I'm going to recap what you can do better here. All of work experiences is going to spill into 2 pages, have it in one page, and all this should be in the next page. So it's weird layout if the first element, because remember, people read from left to right. So I'm still reading this and it's going to the next page while like this has not finished. It's already spilling into the next page, but this has finished, this has finished. But this is the first thing I started reading here. So it's better to do. So it means that if I'm reading this, I have to read from here to the next page and then come back again and read from here down. I'm not Japanese. It's Japanese that read from top to bottom, right? This is English language that your CV is in. So it's important to follow, how people read things and interpret information. And as a graphic designer, it's important that you show your layout design skills. So I think looking at these CVs, like the ones I will rate top, I really love the layout here. The only comment I had was around this and the visual hierarchy here. But in terms of just the layout, this is solid layout. And it's impressive that this looks good without any color, like without any bright color, just white, black, gray. This is solid, right? This is nice too. The only thing I would change here is just use a white background, right? This is not horrible. Some people might like it. Personally, I don't. And like if you read through conventions of CVs, it's just safer to use a white background. And like that's the reason like my mine is white background. For this comment I gave to design, just use a simple layout and improve your visual hierarchy. Also, another thing I'll add here is let's bring your contact information up so you can use this piece well, bring it close to your profile rather than at the bottom. So like here, you can see the contact information here. What I'll add to this is please include your phone number because some teams might want to call you on the phone maybe before the scheduling interview to be sure of your availability. So it's always good to add your phone number to your, to your CV. Like this does not have phone number as well. So instead of name Instagram, just add your phone number. It's good practice to add your phone number. Okay. So before I go into the portfolios, just on the CVs, does anyone have questions? I take it there are no questions. All right. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to start with portfolios. So portfolios. This is Anthony Okay. This is Okay. So I'm going to scan through and then just drop my feedback on page from page to page. Um, okay. So I'm going to drop my feedback. So, like I said, your portfolio is a good place to, one, showcase your skills, and it's also a place to be creative, colorful. So, I like it's cool that this is black and white. I think this is your CV. Yeah, so I think it's you love black and white aesthetic. This is not bad. And I love like your layout and visual hierarchy. It's good that your phone number is here. It's not in your CV. Okay, it is actually. It is in your CV here. Um, I love that your phone number is here and that your bio is here because when I look at this, I want to get to know you. And this introduces you, talks about, your how you said designing and all of that. And I like that, in terms of skills, here you actually showed the softwares that you work with. So, what I said about beginner advanced, like, see, you put beginner here. So the problem with putting beginner here is when I see your portfolio and seeing Premiere Pro, I'm judging you. I'm thinking, this guy is a beginner here. So it just makes sense to not include, like, just don't rank yourself. Even though in the interview, the person might ask you how experienced are you in this, then you can see the truth. These are the areas where I'm strong. These are the areas where I'm not so strong. But then, like, don't do that in your CV at first. I like that you put the design services. So these design services give me the impression that you design this portfolio for like if you want a freelance role, because if this is a job, this should be like the kind of deliverables you have mastery of. The design services like comes across to me like, oh, you're a freelancer, and then these are the kind of services you offer to clients. So if I'm a hiring manager, this is not helpful to me. Because if I'm hiring, and what if I'm hiring for editorial design and it's not here, right? So, like I feel this is more suitable for if there's a specific portfolio you're sending to clients who do freelance projects with. But as a hiring manager, like design services with this list, it's not really so helpful. But you can like talk about, oh, these are the kind of design projects that, so something like here, you have table of contents. It's relevant here, but not so relevant here. Um, I like when people include a bit of information in their CV, in their portfolio, because it still gives me real context. So it's good that your work experience is here, your education is here. That's nice. Something I will add is if there are design courses you've taken, you should also include it here. So, for example, looking at your portfolio, you've done art direction training at USO Academy, and Orange Academy, Orange FX, VFX Academy, graphic design training. So I think it's cool to include those in your portfolio as well. This is nice. But I have a problem with you leading with the social media design because personally, I don't like looking to scanning through your portfolio. These are not your best. Like I would actually lead with advertising design, especially if the advertising designs you did were for real brands, right? And that's where I would show more work. Maybe I'm saying this because I have a bias towards advertising. I worked in advertising for some years. But I feel like advertising is one of the places where you have an opportunity to work on notable brands. So having those kind of notable brands open your portfolio, puts you on a good footing rather than just putting it somewhere. Because social media design is something that everybody sees all the time, right? So it's not as impressive even if you've done this. Like that's why all of this can fit on one page, but an advert can just be one advert on any page and it's still impressive, right? But this is nice. But what this means is that I would only really seriously consider you if I'm hiring you for social media design, because that is the bulk of the work I'm seeing on your portfolio. So if I need someone to do maybe a bit of illustration or someone to do editorial design, I'm going to really consider you because I'm not seeing a lot of that. And even the print designs, like I guess this is like flyers, it looks so much similar to the social media designs. And then something I love to do or to advise people in terms of portfolio is rather than organizing your portfolio by the kind of work, organize them by project, organize them by brand. So since your CV, like this is when you worked in Seven Interactive, you are not director, at this place you are not director, here. So it usually makes sense to organize your CV based on project, right? So that you can tell me a story about it. So when you were in P1, this is the role you played, this is the kind of, team, the way the team was structured, this is the kind of projects you handled, yada, 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 right? So I will try to pull up my portfolio. Like it's a bit out of date. I'll try to show it just to demonstrate what I mean. This is my secret portfolio. It's like I only sent to hiring managers, but then you guys will be lucky to see it today. Just give me a moment. Push. Okay, trying to find the current one. Okay, I think this is it. So I will scan through this when I'm done looking at the other portfolios. But just to show you what I mean about the introduction to rules. So, like, to be honest, like this portfolio is outdated. And I probably need to still do a lot more work. But something I've done is like I said, present it as a project by project, brand by brand, right? And personally, I don't like to write a lot, but my job requires me to write a lot. But in my portfolio, I don't have energy to write long case studies, so I just write summaries, right? But those summaries are helpful because your hiring managers are busy people. So it helps them to just quickly scan through. So in this case, I just included this is the role I played in this project. It was a team of 4. These were the tools I used. This is the timeline. I was done in Q4 2022. This is the project, and this was our goal, building a multi-site for telco. So I was part of this project in 2020. And the project brief, like we want to implement a responsive and user-friendly. Now, because of NDAs, the only thing I could show was, the screenshots of this, and you can go to Blue World and see the rest of the website. And I just, shared some screens here, but like I can't really share much due to NDAs. But then these are like screens. These are screens from the website that you go to the website and look at. And then for this, like this is project. So you see the same thing I do. So based on this project team work done, I'm still going to go through it. But coming back to this portfolio, so you can actually tell a better story with this project rather than just slapping everything on one page. Because if I'm not a designer and I want to know the story of this project, there's no way to tell that. You're just putting your design on the page. So I'm going to, let me quickly go through the one I did. So these are social media designs that I did these were social media designs as well that I did for Nigerian Men. But I sort of told a story with it, right? So this is like comparative to this. And I did this design between end of 2019. And similar to what I did in the other one, these were my roles. I directed some graphic design, social media graphics, some were motion graphics, and then I did a bunch of Google display banners with a team of 5. These are tools I use, timeline of 4 months, 5 months, right? So this was the goals of the brief. So rather than just slap this on the page, give context, right? So in this case, we're launching Nivea Men brand on social media and wanted to establish it as a go-to brand, yada, 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 right? So now there is context. When you're seeing these designs, it's not just a design. You understand the role this design played for the brand. That Nivea Men was being introduced to the Nigerian market on social media, and these were the launch visuals that was used for that introduction, right? So, so this context is important in your portfolio. And like, I know that as graphic designers, because like I am a multidisciplinary designer, but like I've done both product and brand, right? So because if you look at UX design portfolios, there's that burden of writing long case studies, but you actually don't need to write long case studies. Like a page with something like this works, right? And just summary, this is the role I play, this is the team, these are the tools I use, this is the timeline, right? It sort of gives context. And you can now have the summary of the brief or summary of the goals so that you have context when going through this. So like that would have been very helpful, even in advertising. Like, what was the brief? Like, what was the point of this? Which brand is this? What was the goal? What did you achieve? Right? So your design is not telling a story. And yes, you're a solid designer. I can see it in your portfolio. And even look at this is a beautiful project, but you've not told the story, right? You can talk about the process, like what was this prospectus about? You can talk about how many pages does it have? Was it for parents? What was the goals of it? Give context. Don't just slap it and move on. And like this is exactly the problem I have with Behance, because Behance doesn't always allow you to tell the story of a design. You tend to just slap it here like this. So it's more painful when it's a PDF portfolio that you have the liberty of creating what you want, but you seem not to be taking full advantage of it. I'm going to move to the next portfolio. So if you have questions, drop it in the chat. I'll tend to it at the end. The next portfolio. So first off, I really like this page. Like, what I said, like the portfolio is an opportunity for you to is like the portfolio provides an opportunity for you to sorry, I'm seeing people drop more portfolios and resumes. Okay, so I'm going to stick to the ones I've downloaded so far, like so that I don't take so much time. So I'm just downloading the ones I'm seeing now. And yeah, I see a question. Can you have my portfolio for reference? My portfolio is under NDA. Like a lot of projects are under NDA, so I only share with hiring managers if I'm looking for a role. But I do have I have a website, so you can check out some things on my website. I'm directly linked to my website in the chat. I guess that's the right link. Okay, so this is a nice front page, like very nice. Like this portfolio 2.0 is not necessary. Like I don't need to have this information. Like it's your business, whether it's 2.0 or 5.0. Like it's your business, but like it's not necessary. But then like it's nice that you include a visual designer, motion designer, illustrator, nice, your name. I like this gradient. Like this is a nice touch. It makes it interesting from off the bat. I like your font choice, but I have a problem with this page, right? This is visually overwhelming, right? Like I get you like creative and but guy, this page is visually overwhelming. This is not a website. I know if it's a website, you can do something interactive. Maybe some other people will like it too, but personally, I feel this is a bit visually overwhelming. I think this is a bit visually overwhelming, but I'm a Star Wars fan, so I like it, but maybe because of your font choice and because of how much space. Because if you choose to do this within this space here, like in a smaller space, and there's more white space around the page, I think it would be easier to consume, but this is like in my face, especially like here, there's so much white space here. So if you choose to like stay consistent with using this space and use this space down here to do all of this, maybe it will be easier on the eyes. But I like it, but personally, I think it's a bit visual overwhelming. But it's not necessarily a knock on your portfolio, on the portfolio. So I'll just continue. Work experience. So it's cool for you to use a timeline. Timelines are really cool for showing your work experience. And like I said, in the last portfolio. It's it's also nice to highlight your work experience in your portfolio as well. And I like that you're linked to your resume here. The problem is that it's not obvious that this is a link. So if I didn't know enough that this could be a link and hover over it, I'm not going to click on it. So I think you designed this portfolio to look like a website, and that is a problem. So just design a portfolio like a portfolio. Like functionally, like it looks beautiful. I'm a designer, I like beautiful things, but also focus on the functionality. It's a PDF, so it should behave like a PDF. It shouldn't look too much like a website. So yes, it looks nice, but let it work. I like this is a nice touch to highlight the softwares you work with. But because, like I said, not everybody that is going to look at your portfolio is a designer. Some people that will look at your portfolios are HR, hiring managers, and not designers. Not everybody will know what PS or AE or AI is or F is, right? So I know this is this Photoshop, After Effects, Illustrator, Figma, but not everybody would know that. So it makes sense to use the format like in this portfolio. You see what he did here. So he still used those icons, but he wrote them out Photoshop, Illustrator, yada, right? I think I did something similar in my own portfolio. Okay, I did not. In my previous portfolio, I did some. So what I did is for each project, I wrote down the tools I used. So what I did here was instead of putting a timeline, I just put the logos of the companies I had worked on. This was my bio. I'll come back here. So, like I said, like just write out the name so that it's easy for people to tell what you're talking about. So content, okay, so let me just go one after the other. So design first. I think this was the brand identity. Yeah. So I like, I like the fact that there's context, and this was what I critiqued in this portfolio, that this is a nice body of work, but does not have context to what each project was about. Where is it again? So what was I looking at? Yeah. So this is nice context, right? So this is design first. What is design first? And I can see the goal. The goal was to make this. So, this is a hypothetical event. And then I don't know where this links to. I'm just going to click it. So this goes to the next page. So it's an interactive PDF. Nice. I think this is nice. But personally, if I was to critique this as a project, like the color combination, I'm not really a big fan of like the whole color palette. I know that these are like complementary colors, but they don't all work together in the sense of purple is a bit complementary to this, but this does not work together when there is red in the mix, right? So for the same brand, if you remove this red, this 1, 2, 3, and this shade of, I think, gray would probably be a good, color palette. But this red in the mix just throws it up. So having these 4 colors and having red with the green, red and this shade of green, yellow is not nice. But purple and this would be great combos. Like, if you want to play with a color like this, look at the color palette that Kuda uses. I don't think you've ever seen Kuda use red. Kuda uses a similar color palette, but you never see them combine their red with purple. So like the color palette is a bit wonky, but I love the logo. I love everything else. So yeah, so like what I was saying, like it's like I'm having very dark colors and very sharp colors beside it. And if you think about the psychology of colors, right? When my eye look at dark colors don't emit so much light. So when I look at a dark color and the next thing my eye sees is a very sharp, jarring color like this, it's disturbing, right? So it's good to sort of have like study color harmony a bit. So I think you're a solid designer, but choice of colors, like if these colors were better, this would really be solid. Like this doesn't have to be in red, right? Like if these patterns were in gray and then this was the purple on this background, I think it would be a better design, right? So other than that, really nice. I see this as another concept. Like I said, I love how you provide context, and like it's very summarized. I love it. Um, and then on the next page, I think this is nice. I really like it. Um, Seasoning with this. I think this is a nice concept. I don't know if there are any seasoning cubes that are packaged with individual, like all the cubes open like this without individual cubes being wrapped. But I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that. But I think generally, I think this is a nice design to include. And then now you have your global folio, solid layout. I think one thing I would commend throughout this portfolio is the layout. And I think I gave a similar comment on your CV, solid layout. The only comment I have here is your background color. Just make it white and black rather than black background. But generally, I think you really have a solid grasp of layout skills. Like, I would really be interested in talking more with this person, just looking at this portfolio. Like, as I'm looking at this, I'm not really focusing on the individual designs. Like, these are really nice marks. But from what I've seen here, most of these are hypothetical brands. But like, I can see like solid layout skills. Like, so this will make me go back to your CV to look at the places you've worked. See a graphic designer here, graphic designer here, graphic designer here. So some of the things I would be interested in seeing in your portfolio are projects you did working with these companies, right? And I see a bunch of questions in the chat about NDAs. So the rule about NDAs is that you can you can feature designs that you've done for brands in your portfolio if those designs are in the public domain. So, for example, these designs here have all been posted on social media, so it's okay to have them on your portfolio. These designs have all been posted on social media, so it's okay to have on your portfolio, right? So for example, the reason why I didn't share more details on the global com is that the website itself is on social media, right? But the details of the design, the process of the design is covered by an NDA because of the nature of the company. So I can talk about it, but I'm not going to share more details and like I'm not going to share the UX design process, yada, 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 all of that. You can go to the website and look at what's on the website, right? So because of the nature of this, I can only talk about this is what we did, but I'm not going to share deeper details, but you can look at the website online. So like the thing about NDAs is post project. So for example, for Budweiser, these were campaigns we did in 2020. These were on billboards all around Nigeria. So I can put these on my portfolio because they are live, right? Some of these were merch we did as well. For Nivea Men, these were all on social media. For this, I'm not going to show it because it's covered by NDAs. I'll just scan through it. This was covered by NDA as well. For Tech Cabal, these were designs that are online that we did. Just some designs that we did. So I can actually show this, but a bunch of things are covered by NDAs. So yeah. So I think the thing with NDAs is showcase stuff that in the public domain. Whatever is not in the public domain, don't. So I think it's nice for it to have motion design. If I was hiring a motion design, I would really click through to watch all of this. But now I don't have time to do that. But I think this is nice. So what I would say is because you've stated in your portfolio that you've worked in these places, I would like to see some designs you did for those places. And I don't think I can see that in your portfolio, or if it's in your portfolio, it's not highlighted because these first two projects are hypothetical projects. So I think that is problematic. Especially since your CV says you've been designing professionally since February of 2022. So, okay, you started chronologically since 2018. So I want to see some real designs you did for clients since 2018 in your portfolio, not just hypothetical project like that in the public domain. So I'm going to the next CV, the next portfolio. I think I downloaded another one.
Sorry, I have a
Let's
question.
see.
Just a quick question.
Okay. If you can ask
Okay,
quickly.
so now, regarding that NDA, for instance, there's a company I work with as an illustrator, and people pay to subscribe to have access to those contents that we created illustrations for. So, for instance, now the NDA covers I can't even like it's only those that are subscribed to that particular app can see those because they are like their content for kids. So they have to pay to get access to it. I mean, their guardians or parents. So in some situation, for instance, I could not put it on my listing, but my skills could actually show that my research to show that oh, there's been like it's also my LinkedIn like the company. So I don't know how do you do research such a way that they have to subscribe
So
to get access to such content.
So it's straightforward, right? So in that case, don't include it. Like, see, the thing is, you don't have to feel a burden to include 20 projects in your portfolio, right? Like, I think my portfolio has just 4 or 5 projects, but trust me, I've worked on more than 20 brands in my career. So it's just important to highlight the important one. So for something like that, just count your losses. And to be fair, like my portfolio doesn't even have a lot of things I've done in the last 3 years. So and another thing is like, let's say for example, right, I work with Steers, and some designs I've done for Steers are on Steers website. But Steers is a subscription-based platform, right? So now if I go to steers.co, um, and I want to showcase my designs, there are some designs I did for Steers that are publicly available. So those are the ones I'm going to showcase. The ones that are only strictly behind the paywall, I won't showcase them unless the platform allows people to see it. I don't know if that makes any sense. So if I were to go,
Yeah, I
um,
understand now.
right. So for example, now I've done a bunch of designs for um, I've done a bunch of designs for Steers homepage, right? For Steers, like these article graphics. So I can actually show, in as much as some of these you need to have a subscription to view it, but I can select some of these, like I did this design, I did this design, I did this design. Okay, these are the designs I did that are visible here, right? These three. So I can actually put this in my public facing portfolio because it's publicly available on the website. But there are actually, it's possible that there were infographics I created that are within the article that can only be viewed by paid subscribers. So I'm not going to include those infographics in my portfolio because it's not in the public domain unless someone paid for it. It's behind a paywall. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, boss. Yes, yes, I understand.
Yeah. So like I believe there are a bunch of things that, like, for example, my portfolio, the only thing, like there are a couple of things that would only be on my personal portfolio that I send to hiring managers, but I would never share it on social media because of NDAs. So it means that when I'm sending it during interviews, I'm only showing it to them in portfolio presentation. So there's sometimes the portfolio I send when applying is different from the portfolio I present, because when I'm applying, I might mention that there are a couple of projects that are under NDAs that I would show during the interview. So that means I would only show those projects during the interview process, but I'm not going to send the portfolio containing those designs to the company that is hiring me. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why sometimes you view some people's portfolio website and you see that some projects have a password on their website. The purpose of that password is they only show it to those who are interviewing them, and after that they withdraw the password and you don't have access to it again. Also, it's like one rule of thumb I give people is go and look at portfolios of people working in Apple, Facebook, Google, see how they present projects. So because of NDA, sometimes they talk vaguely about the project. So you can actually say, oh, you did designs for this, provide context, but say you can't share it. You can't share it. And because you have other projects that show your capability, I can trust you are not lying because I can see 5 or 4 other portfolio pieces that show your capabilities. So let me get back to this. So this CV, I think I've talked a lot about layouts. I like this layout. It's somewhat similar to this layout. So nice layout. Um, um, because of the ATS thing. So sometimes, like, I don't like people using button links for, like, just put the link there. Because you don't know where the platform the person is looking at your CV from. So it's better to just put the link if you want to include this. And please, like I said, remove Twitter, Instagram, remove your personal social media. And I do know, like I said, some of us have curated social media that will always post our designs, but please don't allow your release people to use, like, imagine during the election period where everywhere is like split in the middle. Some are supporting one candidate, some is supporting another candidate, and you consistently post about one candidate and your hiring manager supports the other candidate. You can lose the opportunity on that basis. So it just, and in as much as, yeah, people can Google your name and see your social media, but it's a different thing when you actually share the link with them. Um, so that's a problem. So education, graphic designer, this. So yeah, I think this is nice. Let me make it bigger. So I think this font is too thin. So maybe use a font that is thicker, just so it's easier to read. And I have a problem with the kerning on this font. It's too tight. Like the space is too close together. So one rule of thumb, so like if I'm to compare, let me compare this. Let me not use my, let me compare this CV. Let me close this. Let me compare this CV, right? So you see that when I like zoomed out, it's easy to read this compared to reading this when it's zoomed out, right? You can barely read this when it's zoomed out, and it's something called kerning. So when you have smaller font sizes, make sure to increase the spacing beside between it so that it's easy to read when it's like smaller. Um and then this is actually, so you actually did the opposite. So for bigger fonts, this is where you should reduce the spacing. So you increase the spacing for big fonts and reduce the spacing for small fonts, which is the opposite of what you should actually do. So that is actually bad kerning. So that's not nice. Um, and like as a designer, and I'm a designer looking at this. This is not nice because these are like some pet peeves or some things I'll be looking at. But in terms of general layout of the portfolio, this is nice. You showed like year where you're working, place you worked, your role, period you worked there. I think this visual hierarchy is fair. Um, so let me zoom out a bit to take a look at this. So I feel that if, for example, now you have this volunteer and community education spilling into this page, right? So something you would have done since this was going to fit into this page is I'd rather just you move these skills into the next page and have volunteer and community contribution just fill this whole space, right? So that way it's more straightforward because something is here. I read from left to right. So when I scroll down, if something here is going to continue on the next page, it should actually continue here rather than here because you read left to right and then it's like Z, left to right, then your eye come here and your eye come here. So even though this is like a column, if you are designing a double column layout, the column should continue here and here, not like it shouldn't jump down and continue here, and this column in the previous page continues here. So easy solution would have been to just move this up and bring skills down. And then you can actually just reduce the white space between here so that everything will just fit in here. Because instead of using these boxes, for skills, if you just wrote them with commas, you can actually fit in more and these tools would come up, right? And everything would be on this page rather than everything like it being on two pages. But I think other than that, I think this is not bad. I can see your work experience here. I can see your um I can see education here, I can see your skills. Something I want to add is, especially because a lot of designers don't study design in school. Like that's not what you study in terms of education. So if you took design courses, it's also good to include them in your CV. So you have design courses. I think, like for example, you see here he wrote certificates he did, certifications he took here. So I think that's something nice to include in your CV. Um, yeah. So Victor Additon, I think this is your portfolio. Um, okay. So I think I like this. This is nice. Minimalist portfolio. So I'm going to just scan through and then comment on it. Okay. So very short portfolio. Let me go and look at your CV again. Oh, I think I closed it. Um, so if I'm looking at your CV again, it tells me you've been designing since 2020, right? 2020. Okay. So coming back to your portfolio, brand identity and systems. So I don't know, is Victor on this call? Victor is on this call, right?
Yeah, I can see Victor Aditono. I don't know why he's not responding.
Hi, Victor. Can you hear me? Okay. I'll be talking to you. He's available. So, maybe Victor is not available. I should move to someone else so that I can get, like, I can talk, ask the question when Victor is available. So let me look at this, CV. Um, okay. The product designer. Where does this go? Oh, hmm. Yeah, I actually don't think this is necessary. Like, and then this was a recommendation letter, and you're linking it to your CV, and you said link to this section. Well, I don't think it's necessary. I think if you have recommendations or you have people who like said nice things about you, like testimonials, you can include that in your portfolio, not your CV. Um, but okay, product designer, we've done this from company in Austria. So this link to the section is confusing because I don't know what the section is, right? It's nice how you wrote about the work, actual work you did, those places. Okay, I guess this is the link to the website, which is nice. Because like if I don't know this company and I'd like to know more, but there's a problem with your layout is not consistent. Because here, this product designer, this is the company you worked, but here you not put the name of the company, you just wrote United States of Africa. So I don't know, is that a company uh, or is it an organization? And since you're including links, maybe if it's an organization, you should include the link to the website so I get to know more about it as well. But this is weird. But maybe it's just me. I don't know enough about United States of Africa. Um, And then this link to the section. So this is confusing again. I guess this is another recommendation. Not really necessary. Um, Education, computer science, skills. So this is what I was talking about that I really liked, as opposed to which CV was that, as opposed to something like this or which other CV. There's one CV that had skills that was not. Uh, I've closed it. Was it this one?
No, I guess it's mine. It's a link.
What's the name?
I don't know. It's in the group. But you can check, but it's a link. Just a link to my Google Drive. Like,
Oh,
PDF now.
okay. What's your name?
Dotun, Yemi Dotun.
Okay, let me check. Oh, okay. I think I sort of opened it. I guess this is it, right? So sort of rather than this, so rather than this, like rather than something like this, you can actually do this. So you see how he categorized the skills. So under user research, these are the skills, UX, user interface, soft skills. But this is obvious that these are soft skills rather than like using color to differentiate soft skills. Like nobody says that blank is soft skills and blue is hard skills. So nobody would tell, right? I like how tools were also differentiated, included. I guess that's nice, and the skill was included. So I think this is a nice CV. This is this is a nice CV, and like you see, you can select the text, which means it can be processed by an ATS. Your number is here. Your LinkedIn is here. There's also a link to your portfolio, which is a Behance. So that problem exists. Look at it later. Um, your email, which is not bad. Um, okay, so let me just use now and look at this, sort of make it big. So looking at your Behance, so according to your portfolio, you worked at. Okay, let me make this full screen so I can actually just read them side by side. So looking at this portfolio, here, one moment, trying to. Okay. So looking at this portfolio, you said you worked at Fiscal Trust, Fiscal Trust, United States of Africa, and Credit Equity. So I'll be expecting to see projects you've done for these companies in your portfolio. I get what you say about NDAs, but I would like to see projects you've done for these companies that are in the public domain in your portfolio. So here I'm seeing Job Match and Coffee Clan. So let me first take a look at Behance. Like I said, I don't like Behance as a portfolio, and I think I've explained the reason. I cannot see you feel your personality from your Behance. I can't see your skills. I can't see your layout design skills. Like because Behance is a platform, right? Like for example, if you apply to the same role with a Behance profile and someone that has this portfolio, who do you think will come across as more interesting? The person that has this portfolio, because it means they put in much thought, right? And of course, I've critiqued this portfolio for things they would have done better, like and like some of the brands. But the truth is, you could have been a better designer than this person, but because their portfolio is so well presented, they will have an edge over you because this person will be taken more seriously than someone that is just using a Behance. And then not every hiring manager is a designer. So if the HR person is not familiar with Behance, they might not really know how to interact with this, right? And if you send me a link to your Behance, and here you like see the Behance layout, right? So I have to scroll all the way here before I see your profile, and there is read more, right? But if it's your portfolio, you can actually have a chance to present to talk about yourself. Or I think the person I like how they introduce themselves, which is simple, is this guy, um, like this guy, right? So you can have a page where you really talk about yourself, just simple. Like you don't need so much razzmatazz, which is the problem I have with here. This is a bit visually overwhelming, and I get you're portraying your personality, right? But I actually like this because it just tells me about you straight to the point, rather than like this. And I might not know. I have to scroll, especially because you just have two projects. So I might just interact with this without scrolling all the way down to see all of these guys here, which is problematic. And then if I click into this project, you're a product designer. The least I expect from you as a product designer is to, let me get back to your portfolio, so that your resume. Um, the least I expect from you as a product designer is to write a case study of each project, even if it's a hypothetical project. Like, write what's the hypothetical brief, what was the problem you're solving, what was your process, right? Like, just sharing this as your portfolio is not impressive because any product designer can do this. But if you want to be considered to be hired, then you have to show your process, show how you think, show how did you arrive at this, because you might as well just have copied another design and posted here. So this is nice, but this is not impressive to a designer. Because any designer can do this. So I like to see your story. I like to see your process. So yes, this is better. So here, there's a bit of a process. There's a project overview. Present as a coffee shop with over 50 years of experience. I think you spend too much time writing this. You don't really need so much detail. Just what's this? So let me look at this portfolio for comparison. So I like how this guy just gave summary, right? This is the event. This was the goal. So something like that. Like you don't need to write a lot of prose. And I know that this is probably a hypothetical brand again. So you don't really need to like 50 years of experience, yada, yada, yada. What was the problem? Right? Goals, a website, customer database, find the best delivery. Okay. So I need to see how you solved all of these problems. If these were all the goals you wanted. Design process, strategy, discovery, analysis. This is nice. So at least you did show. But the thing is, if you are doing this and you're listing all this, then I need to see all of this, right? So user persona. So I don't think I've seen where you talked about strategy. Was user persona mentioned anywhere here? Persona creation. So you jumped all of this and started with persona. But I've not seen you talk about and this, but you started here. So that's the pitfall of just copying what everyone else is doing without understanding why. So if you're going to show this is your process, then show your workings for this process. So if you have stakeholder conversations, you can just write a summary of what the ideas from there was. We've already written project vision goals, measure of success, project duration was not mentioned. There's user persona, and there's a survey, competitive analysis. This is nice. User flow, not bad. I'm not really going to critique in terms of how the user flow is. And please, even for hypothetical projects, it's important to check for typos. This is a typographic error. What is account? This is probably meant to be account. So it's good to proofread your designs before pushing it out. And then like the way you use arrows showed me that you are not really a good user flow designer because you have several arrows pointing in several directions. Like this arrow is pointing towards best coffee and then it's pointing down. So what is this flow? Where does this flow come from? So it just looks like you put random these things and linked in randomly. So if I go from splash screen to onboarding to sign up, this arrow goes from sign up to home, but why is this overlapping sign up? This should be in the middle. So this is actually a messy user flow diagram. So it will make sense to when you do stuff like this, maybe have other designers review it and give you feedback. And then this place is a mess too because which arrow is pointing where? Like from home, I can see it's pointing to forward password. So like I said, this shows me you don't really understand how user flow diagrams work because if something was to go from home to forgot password, this node will connect to this shape. So it will actually join it on the side, not here, right? So this is like, this is actually bad user flow diagram. So it doesn't help. Low fi wireframe, wireframe. Okay, see the difference between this and this. Between this lo-fi wireframe and wireframe. Okay, I guess it was a bit more lo-fi than this, but like to be honest, like I know if you study graphic design, like you study UI design, they will all tout a lot of this, but this is not very, very, very necessary unless you are telling a story with a lo-fi wireframe. So you can talk about the lo-fi wireframe, like this were the layouts you explored. So wanted to have a page to look at an order of coffee or a page where people can select whether they want a cappuccino or a americano or whatever kind of coffee they want, where they can select the ingredients they want in their coffee. So you can talk about those kind of details. Like tell a story, don't just put the design there. So if you're going to show the wireframe, you can just spotlight one wireframe or show two options and say these were the two directions we consider. And then you can even bonus, say, oh, we A/B tested them and, agreed on one, which you now did a high wireframe for. So, and then typography, this is, so I think if you want to show a typography page, right, rule of thumb is to actually demo it, right? So if it's in at this point, like actually either use this header. Okay, I think that's what he did. Okay, it wasn't immediately obvious, but I think that's what he did. So this is nice. Fonts, I don't like this layout. So if you want to do something like this, look at how this guy did his. This kind of stuff is better than like the 2000 or 1999 kind of graphic design. This kind of stuff is doesn't iconography, yada components. So I think this is a better case study than the first. But for someone who your CV said has been designing since 2021, I would actually expect to see more work on your portfolio because as I'm looking at this being what I would say is you only have one project on your portfolio because I'm not counting this. This is just this bunch of pages. So this is not really a portfolio project. So I would expect to see more, especially if you want to be hired. So it would be nice to include some work you did for these guys on your portfolio because especially in design hiring, if you don't know, there's a lot of credibility issues. There are issues of designers stealing other people's work, posting on social media. So if you say in your CV that I did this design, I work with this company, it's important opportunity to show proof that it, right? To make use of your portfolio, make sure it's robust and convincing. So I want to quickly go to the other one to look at. There, sorry, give me a minute. Okay. So the other portfolios that were shared on Behance, that I want to take a look at. Yes.
Sorry, I wanted to ask you something.
Who's speaking, please?
So,
Oh, I'm past that. I can't. I'll come back to you later on, but please stay on the call and pay attention. I'm going to quickly go scan through. But please, I need to know how much time do I have? When is this meant to end? Hello? I guess LC. How much time do I have? When is this session meant to end?
Let me reach out to her.
All right. Because I need to know how I'm using the time I have left. Okay, so while I'm waiting for her, I'm going to continue. So if you must use Behance for your portfolio, so like looking at this, I sort of like this because the choice of images that is used to introduce the project makes it interesting. And even the header image, it makes it look a bit more interesting. So as much as I would prefer PDF portfolio. I think the choice of images makes it look interesting, and you do provide a bit of context. I can see these are social media designs done in 2022. There's a bit about you here. So I'm just going to go through them one by one and critique based on the presentation. So yeah, I love this, right? I love that Ruth provided context about the brand and whether it's a hypothetical brand or real brand, right? It's about the brand and the goal. So this is really important. They position it as a trusted brand, yada yada yada, right? Brand values, community. But I don't know what this is. What if these are brand a part of the brand values? But I'll just keep scrolling. So this is part of the issue I have with Behance. Like Behance takes time sometimes to load content and depending on network speed of the person. But if I download your PDF, once I download it, I have everything, and like everything here could have actually been in a portfolio, in a PDF portfolio. I mean, well, I'll just continue. So who it is for? Okay, I think there's a bit of, is a persona or word map. So I don't know what this word map is for. Is it word map for choosing a name? Is it word map for choosing the values? So there's no context to the purpose of this word map. Or is it word map for ideating how the logo should look like? Okay. I see mood board and stylescape. This is really nice. I love seeing mood boards. Because it shows where you derive inspiration from. And actually, it's a very good thing. It shows that your design is original because, like I said, you need to prove that that you can be trusted and you don't steal work. And in as much as every design is inspired, right, it's important for me to see your inspiration. So like I think this is nice. I can see your mood board. I can see the places you drew inspiration from. So looking at this logo and coming down, I can see generally, okay, I see some bits, some here, and here. So the general shape and even here, right? Like I can see where the inspiration came from, but it's like it's like a merger of the ideas from here rather than you just taking this and changing the color and pattern and putting as your new logo. So that's a nice thing to do. We went for that to do a style scape, maybe it's project to the brand, which is not bad. Um, and then sketches. That is really nice. I love sketches. So this is like the brand design equivalent of a case study. So you're walking me through your process, right? Like if this was the only portfolio piece on the person's portfolio, this is actually not too bad. Okay, I'm assuming. This is actually not too bad. Like I really love the presentation of this work. So this is like how to do Behance, right? So to speak. And I like how like the context for the logo is provided as to the elements that was used to construct the logo. Like really nice logo, nice alternative lookup. Zooming in here, I think something I spotted. I think this course is not visually balanced everywhere. Maybe my eye, but there's something I spotted. It looks like it's not visually balanced here. Maybe my eye. It's not visually balanced. It's not my eye. So this course just here is not visually balanced. I spotted it now. Like it's but be balanced here. But if you take this and measure it, it's longer on this side than this side. So like those are the kind of tiny details you should always watch out for when putting work. Except this is like you're showing this in the rough state, but this is like the actual portfolio you've done. So make sure that these kind of details are because these are the kind of things like it's like a critique of your portfolio. So make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. This is a good way to present your color palette, as opposed to the previous one I looked at, that puts it in those weird shapes. So you can put it as a grid of colors with the hex codes and the other color codes. This is nice. One thing I usually do is if you're going to present like RGB colors, it's usually better to put either colons or commas, right? Just so it's easy for everyone to understand the colors. Because some fonts, when you put numbers together, the spacing is not obvious. So it's possible that someone can mix it up as 2526 3 instead of how you mean it. So it's better to just put commas, like this punctuation to separate it. The CMYK that had percentages is like normally I just write CMYK the way it is without percentages, but separated with commas. Um, I think generally every other thing looks nice. I like this. So like it's weird for me to have this long description text on a business card. Like business card is just meant to be the information and the name of the president. Like I know maybe the client demanded it, but it's very weird to have a long about me on the business card. Like nah, like I don't know, feels weird. This is the kind of thing you should have like on a notebook or a brochure or like on the one pager something. But I really like the like nice merch, like this logo. You see how good it looks on a push pin, like really nice. Like if I even imagine this on all these smaller ones they put on a suit, like it looks really nice. Um, I don't think it looks good blown up, but as a badge, really nice. So bad logos look better as a badge rather than blown up. Um, nice portfolio piece. Um, this is nice, right? So let me go. I'm gonna have time to go through everything. So let me look at this. This is interesting. So I guess this is an outreach. This looks like a poster. Um, so I think as opposed to the other one you shared, there is no context. I'm not seeing context here. So I don't know what it is about. I don't know what the project is. I'm just seeing design. So I think what you did in the other one should edit this and add context, like talk about what the purpose, what this was about. You don't really need to show process and everything, but just this was the client, this is the project, this was what we did. Just simply put, was the purpose. I'm going to go to the next portfolio. So I think it is a product and brand designer. So the advice I usually give people who are both product and brand designers is to have separate portfolios. So have a separate product design portfolio, have a separate brand design portfolio, because many times most company will hire you for one of those roles, right? I really wish I can see your CV. Okay, let me see your LinkedIn. Since it's product and brand designer, what I will usually do is I want to see your LinkedIn to see your employment, like how places you've worked and like places you've done product design, places you've done brand design. So looking at all your experiences and graphic designer here, UI UX, product design, graphic designer, product designer. So I think this is your present role, right? There's something I also notice some people do when they switch from product brand design to product is that they go to their CV or their portfolio and start changing all their past roles to product design. Please, if you were not product designers there, it will not help you because like if you were to do reference calls and I reach out to a company that you said you're a product designer and I to them and they say you're a brand designer, then your credibility is suffering, So if I'm looking at this, at least from your portfolio, it says you've been a product designer since UI UX designer since 2021. So I would expect at this point that you have a dedicated UI design portfolio, all right? A product design portfolio that is not necessarily Behance. Because Behance we don't really like it's not the best platform to like show product design portfolios. You can actually use you can use Notion, you can have your own website, you can use Workflow, you can even use Figma and share it as a prototype, So I'll just look at this as a landing page. So there's no context. This is what I have a problem with. So as a designer, your portfolio is not just for you to show design, it's to show your process. So talk about like have a mini case study or what was this project about? What was my process? What problem was I trying to solve? So this is just UI design. And that's the problem I have with Behance. In the context of what Behance does, no problem with this. But in the context of a portfolio, there's a problem with it. Behance is a place to showcase your work and get comments. People would, like you can see that two people like this, 16 people saw it. And like some people also drop comments. But the purpose of your portfolio is to showcase, like, tell us the story of each project, right? So if you must use Behance as your portfolio, like see what this guy did here. He told a story, right? And like um what's the name again? The owner of this portfolio, Harmony. So what I would advise Harmony is to apply this to other projects here. But at least in this portfolio, like he wrote about the brand, wrote about the goal. He told a story with the process, right? So that's what I would expect from you, not just like a screen of designs. Like this is not good for a product design portfolio, especially if this is the only portfolio you have. And this is the same thing here. Like you're a designer, I'm a designer. So if you're sending me your portfolio and it's just designs without context, I'm not impressed. Okay, this is better. There's an about, there's a process here, design process, there's user flow. So the person I gave, I can't remember where the other one is. Yes, here. So compare this user flow here with this user flow here. So this is a better user flow. See how all the lines are clean. So and there are tools for this. You can do this with FigJam. So you can actually just take all of this and recreate it in FigJam and put back here, right? So this user flow is cleaner. See how it's clear. Or from onboarding to login, you go to chat, yada yada yada. See how everything is just neatly organized versus these like heavy lines, everything pointing everywhere. This is messy. This is a better looking user flow. So if I see this, what I feel is that this designer does not understand how user flow diagrams work. He just puts user flow because he feel it's impressive and it's what the hiring manager would understand. So please, this person should go and study user flow diagrams. Okay, there's a logo. Lo-fi research analysis, problem messaging information. Actually don't understand that one, but let me just confirm. Oh, so it's like a messaging, like a WhatsApp clone or like a messaging app. Okay, so this is your high fidelity. Colors. So these are another way to present colors, right? But if you must present colors like this, it's important to include the hex codes for each of these colors because this is not helpful. So if you must present colors, the gradient of colors, include the hex codes. If someone wants to use them, they can use the hex codes rather than just. Okay, so this is incomplete information. Screens. Yeah. So I'm not totally in love with this. I like the way it's organized, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of the entire structure of everything. But it's confusing. Like I think it's better to provide context before introducing each. It's a bit weird, but like a brand designer, like you see the way this guy introduced. So like even for the color palette, like for every major section, he has a summary that talks about why they're making certain choices and doing different things. So that's the kind of thing I would expect to see. I expect to see in this portfolio. So let me go to the next. I don't know which
Yeah,
one to go to. There's a lot of things
hello, sir.
happening here. Yes.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you short. Please, I want to ask a question. Is it possible for...
Sorry. Is this your portfolio?
No, it's not mine.
Okay, wait till the end, then you ask the question.
Okay, mine too is
Just
on...
you can write the question down and then ask it. So, what's your name? You are a Joe.
I'm Cornelius.
Okay, Cornelius. Okay, well, okay. I guess I will look at it. You ask a question.
Okay.
So it's the same problem I have, like I commented on this first one. So it's either product designer, you portray yourself as a product designer. You need to understand what a product designer is. If this was a UI designer's portfolio whose only role is to design UIs, this might fly. But product designer is responsible for the process. And as a product designer, I'm seeing your portfolio and all I'm seeing is screens. For a Behance profile, there's nothing wrong with this. But as long as this is your only portfolio, it's problematic, right? And even if I were to critique this is a badly designed this is a badly designed dashboard. Yeah, it looks nice, but the colors are everywhere. Like, can you count how many colors are here? Like, the tab is displaced, it's too close to the edge. There are how many colors? Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 colors on one page, guy. Like, and there's red. Okay, there's red here, so I'll just count it together with the red. Like, it's too much. It's too much. Like, it's you just choose a color palette and stick to it. Like, and this is a problem. Like, you can just copy something you see on Dribble and just like, oh god, this is too much, right? Define a color palette and stick to it. And like, let color mean things in your UI, in your layout. So if colors mean a certain thing, like, okay, this is your background color, this is your foreground color, and maybe expenses has this color, income has this color, analysis, like, let there be consistency and a cohesiveness, right? And then you need to have spacing rules because like these cards are all over the place. Like look at the spacing between here and spacing to the edge. Look at this, or I don't know. Look at this. This is too close to this edge. Why is there more space here? Especially if this is like menu items to control this dashboard, right? And I'm judging it from this, or let me use this. So you can see in this mockup, the tab on the side is really getting cut off, right? This is really badly done, and it might look nice to you, but in terms of if you critique it, it's a badly designed dashboard. So I think it's important that you look through it. This is a design critique session, so I'm not going to go into the critique of it. But for a portfolio, just put your best foot forward. You don't need to have 10 items on your portfolio, right? And like I said, separate your portfolio because I'm seeing brand design, I'm seeing product design. Like I'm either hiring, I want to see it done. And like I can't really see a good case study here. So this is a really good portfolio. And this is kind of focus on roles and they will ghost you. Because not a lot of hiring managers have time to reach out to each person and give individual feedback. So what I would just say is like it wouldn't hurt if you have only one project on one player that provides as much context as this, right? Of course, have as much as 3 projects or 4, but write a sort of case study, tell a story with your project. Don't just slap the designs and just leave it, abandon it there. So I'm going to go through this. I guess this is your portfolio. So Cornelius, yes, you're a product designer. So TV. So I'm looking here. I don't have your LinkedIn. So I'm going to Google your name to look for your LinkedIn. I'm just going to do motion so you see what I typically do if I'm hiring. The reason I'm going to this process, I believe I would have had your CV if I was going to hire you. But because I'm your CV, I'm going to look involved to like understand the lens from which I'm going to judge your portfolio. So, product designer instructor. So that means you have a bunch of experience. Volunteer, product designer. Okay. Designing, the first design role you have is 2021. So that means you have about roughly two years experience designing. So that becomes the lens from which I'm going to judge your portfolio. So I'm looking at this. Let me start from the first project, waiting for it to load. Okay, it's already 9 o'clock, so I'm going to start rounding up so that I can rest. So I'm looking at this and I'm not seeing any context. I'm just seeing design. So I guess the same feedback I gave. You're a product designer, give me a case study. Like, don't just slap a project on Behance. And like I said, and this is the problem I have with Behance. The way Behance is designed is that you should just slap your project to showcase your work. Behance is not designed for a portfolio. But if you choose to use Behance for your portfolio, then you include information relevant to your portfolio in your Behance.
Yes,
So
sir.
typically, I don't really use.
Sorry, sir. My third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh designs are case studies.
So if they are case studies, those should be in the beginning of your portfolio. So you should move them to the top and move these ones down, right? Because a lot of recruiting managers might just look at 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if you're not going to be in the room when the person is reviewing your portfolio to know that the third, fourth, fifth, sixth are case studies, right? So it's important that you organize it in a way that like, put your best foot forward. Usually lead with the best project. So, like for example, this guy's portfolio. Like I looked at other designs that were not as nice, right? Like this one doesn't have a lot of context. Actually, didn't go through everything, but I really loved the first portfolio. And let me tell you a secret. Something that hiring managers do is like, for example, I can have 200 people or 150 people apply to a role. So what I would do, I would screen the candidates, right? So the first round is elimination round. Just like, you watch FIFA, UEFA match. First one is the elimination round where, start eliminating people. So when I scan through the first set of portfolios and I go through these guys' portfolio, let's say I'm considering, I know this is a brand designer and you're a product designer, but if I go through this portfolio and I see this amount of thought put into the process, I'm already shortlisting this guy to move to the next stage, which could now be maybe I'm shortlisting maybe 10 portfolios that will screen down if I'm going to interview 5, right? But if this is the first project I look at and I say, oh, let me indulge this guy, and I look at the second project, is a piggyverse replica. The piggyverse replica will not impress me unless it's an entry level role, unless I'm hiring an intern. For someone that has 2 years experience, I'm not impressed with a replica of piggyverse because any designer that knows how to design can replicate it, right? And I go to the third design, and this is a personal design challenge. I'm not going to shortlist this portfolio for the next stage because I don't have time to keep looking for the beyond. So, advice: lead with your best work. This guy is an excellent, this is like how to use Behance, right? So he used Behance, and Behance allows you to put text in between pages. Like this is text. So he actually uses to his advantage and told his story. So even though I looked through everything, I'm already impressed with this portfolio. I only looked at one project, but I've looked at 3 projects and I'm not impressed yet. Right. So that's the problem. And even like the designs, like intentionality of the covers you use for your design, like the cover, because that's what will even make me to want to click on this. Look at the covers here. This is cool cover, right? This is another cool cover. So it doesn't even like have to use images. It's a contextual cover. So when I know if I click on this, I'm going to see social media and ad designs, right? And when it loads, I don't know, there's not much text here. But that cover gives me context that this is a collection of social media and ad designs that was done in 2020, a curation. So what I do is like on my website, I have a page where I created random projects. So they are not portfolio, just a place where I dump certain design. To do something like that. So things like this on a portfolio just allows me to see the breadth of the skill of the person, right? But for a product designer, this is not nice. But I'm going to indulge you and look at the case studies you have, just see the quality. But these cover images are meh. to be fair. So let me look at the project. It's been 2 hours plus. But I hope this has been helpful so far. When people have reviewed their portfolios and CVs. Have I entered anyone's CV that is currently on the call? Oh god, this is taking too long to load. Let me go to the next one. The problem I have is, like, I have to wait for each project to load. If it's a website, it loads at once. If it's a PDF, it downloads at once. I interact with it. Behance, I have to open it on to load. I think it's just taking too much time. Let me see if there's another portfolio I can quickly look at. Okay, so this portfolio, I don't know if the owner is on the call, but I'll just quickly walk through it.
Yeah.
So this is Beth. So what I wanted to ask is if this, okay, so was this for a brand or a hypothetical brand?
No, it was for a real brand, actually.
Real brand. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so this is your portfolio, but I actually like it. I like the layout. I like the minimalist layout. Just there's some pet peeves I have, which I will talk about. So when you're designing layout, right? I like to keep things like use grid lines so that things are in a certain place. So, for example, this is your front page. Your portfolio is here. So, like, I go to the next page and brand design starts here. So, it'd be nice if, but like this one is still aligned to this grid, the same grid you use for this. But this is a pet peeve. It's not like a bad thing personally to have. But I like it. It's minimalist. I like your layout style for your portfolio. I don't really like to critique a lot of brand work for an actual brand because I don't have all the context of the portfolio. But I think this is nice. Like I like the designs you actually did accompanying them. And I like the provided context, right? This is what I'm talking about. There's a betting and game prediction platform for sports. And you even talk about the direction and the strategy and then the solution. I like how for these gradients you show the 2 points of the gradient. Let me make this full screen so that I like how for these gradients you showed the 2 points, like this is the color for this end, this is the color for that end of the gradient, which is nice. But I think it's important, especially for something like this. I know this is not the brand identity document, but if this gradient is meant to be at an angle, it might be nice to also include somewhere the angle of the gradient, right? But like this is not a must to have, is a portfolio presentation, but like I said, it's nice to include. But I like the layout. I like how you provide context. This is the brand. This is the what the brand is about. This is direction and strategy. This is the solution. This is nice. And I also like your layout. Excuse me. I like your layout style. Like this bar legal. I don't know if it's a real brand or fictional brand, but I love the design. Like I like it's a real brand.
Yeah. 3 of them are real
Okay,
brands.
so everything is portfolio. Okay. Oh, that is really nice. So so I like how you provide context as well, and like a bit of this. So if we're going to have a portfolio presentation, it gives us something to talk about. And these are really nice designs. Like I really love this for a business card, for a ID card. The problem is this ID card does not include this person's role. So an ID card must include the person's role, like the name and the person's role, and also the logo of the brand. Because if you're going to present this, like think if a police stops this person and asks for their ID card, you need to see the name, the brand, the company they are working for, right? So it's important to include that. Like you shouldn't be so minimalist that you don't include the essential things. This is a nice business card. Um, of course, these are mock-ups and it makes it look good. Well, like I love the design as well, and it's nice that you actually design how it can be used in like the within the office spaces. And these are made of one. Like I said, I love the layout style. Um, these are really nice projects. Really nice layouts. I like how you talk about the solution, you talk about the strategy, and talk about the brand. I guess logo marks is just a collection of brand marks and end. So I think this is nice. I really like this portfolio. I don't think I have anything to critique. Like anything I would say should change. The only thing I'll add is like maybe add an about you section. Like just have a section like if you look at this portfolio, for example, he had a section where he talked about himself, and also sometimes include a bit about you and your work experience, just in case that the person looking at your portfolio does not have your CV. Provide some context about you, your experience, places you've worked, things like that, and places you've studied. So it's nice to include that. Other than that, I think this is a really nice portfolio. But then if so, I think it from looking at this portfolio, I think it's a brand identity designer, and that's where you are. But if you also do other kind of design, you can include that, like at least one project other than that. But even from the way you introduce it, brand identity and design, brand identity designer. So you are niche to brand identity design. So I think this is a solid portfolio to show your expertise. So, Nigel.
Can I ask
So I'm going to
you
end here. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have designs that I have done, and all of them are in a Google Drive, in my Google Drive. Like I have links to them. So do I have to make a presentation, make like a layout for this as well for each of them, or I can just pick out specific works for them because I actually designed it because I was actually shooting out for brand design jobs. So
Sorry, could you ask the question again?
okay, so I have designs. You said I should also include variety of designs. I have other designs that I have actually done, and I actually have them in a Google Drive, right? So do I have to create a link and put them inside the portfolio there, saying that this is a link to my other work, or I create a layout for them just like I did with all these other case studies, these other brand design case studies.
Yeah, it's better to just create layouts. Don't create job for the hiring manager to like have to start exploring your Google Drive to look at other projects, right? But it also depends on how you want to present yourself and the kind of work you want to do. So if you strictly want to do brand design projects, then have your portfolio with just brand design projects. But if you want to like just do visual design, which includes both brand design, social media design, art direction for like marketing designs and all of that, then you might need to have, so you can choose to actually have multiple types of portfolios. You can have a brand design portfolios that shows more breadth of work and have these that you use specifically for um, brand design. But I've found that it's usually good to have a design that is a bit more versatile. So that because many brands want designers that can do like a bit of a lot of things. So like even if you do just brand design and branding design, like brand design in terms of brand identity or branding design, or sorry, brand identity design, like what you have in your portfolio here, and then like brand design in terms of visual design, marketing design, and all of those other ones. You can have a wider portfolio to include that, but don't just link to your Google Drive. Like expand your portfolio and do layouts and have pages for them.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So does anyone else have any questions? All right, so apparently no one has any questions. So I'm going to end here. I don't know if the facilitator is still on the call, but if not, I'm going to drop off. So thank everyone for being here. Really nice portfolios I looked at. So please take note of the comments I made. Work on improving your portfolio. For the product designer that I looked at this portfolio, Dan Joko Timothy and 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 Cornelius Ajewole, please really spend time and improve your portfolio. Like really spend time. You can just drill it down to having 3 excellent projects rather than having 10 projects that like are not so nice. So like always invest in putting your best foot forward. So that the hiring managers will be impressed because you're not the only person applying for the roles. There are people that have excellent portfolios that will be applying. So, like, if I look at an excellent portfolio and the next portfolio is I'm looking at the project that I saw not so nice, I'm not going to be impressed, and like that will sort of eliminate it from the pool. So, I think that's an important consideration. So, bye everyone. I wish you good luck and have a great evening.